Hello, everybody. Sorry about the confusion. I'm still learning all this YouTube stuff. So we are on a new live stream that looks very much the same, but I linked this one in the old one. So hopefully you can find that link and I can always share it later. So let me just reorganize here. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. And we'll get started. I'm excited today because we are going to be doing some aspen trees. I had this sort of vision in my head of kind of what I wanted, but I'm kind of gonna have to wing it because that is what I do. So I'm gathering some inspiration because I kind of, you get, as an artist, you get this clear idea in your head of kind of what you want, but you have to help yourself a little more, otherwise it's not going to turn out how you wanted it to turn out most of the time. So I wanted to just look at some pictures of aspen here to kind of get a better idea of what I was envisioning. This is a square canvas. It's not ideal for what I was wanting to do, but it was all I had. So, you make it work. Let's see. I am using acrylic still today, which means it's going to still dry kind of fast, and I'm going to blow dry occasionally to help it go a little bit quicker. But I want to use a palette knife for painting, adding texture, which I usually do when I work in oil. But I'm currently pregnant and shouldn't be using oil, so I'm going to be using acrylic. But I have this handy dandy slow dry, pardon the brand, cheap brand, slow dry blending gel medium, which just keeps your paint wet longer. And so it should kind of help me with what I was thinking as we go along here. Yeah, I think I'm going to start with the background and kind of work forward. So paints are kind of every which way. Get some white down. If you're tuning in, if you're watching, let me know where you're at. Love to hear what you're doing. If you're on lunch break, what's going on. If you want, no pressure. Gotta have both types of blue, ultramarine and a phthalo, or I guess primary blue in this brand. Kind of greenish. This one's kind of greenish. Makes lots of good aqua marine colors or turquoise colors. And this one is more purple blue, as you can kind of tell. So need kind of a little bit of both to make different types of blues. And I'm going to just go at it here and start with the sky in the background. I'm going to just get a base down with a brush, and then do palette knife for hopefully the rest of it. But let's just see how this goes. I'm going for really painterly style, so, and hopefully we don't get too much glare today. I tried to minimize that, but we'll see how it goes here. This guy always gets a little lighter as it comes down. So I'm gonna add a little bit of white as I come down into the base here. Hint at like a mountain or something in the distance, which tend to look kind of purple from far away. So I'm going to grab some of my purple, get some green on here as well. So some different yellows. Oops. With the two yellows, this one's more orangey, as you can tell, and this one's more primary yellow. And when you mix these in different combinations with these different blues, you can get so many different types of green, so many different colors that it's just like can blow your mind. So you have to kind of know, if you're mixing this with this has a little bit of red in it, this has yellow and blue, you're kind of mixing a lot of your colors, all your primaries together. And so you're going to get kind of a more green, or sorry, a brown green when you mix these two. When you mix, actually, you can get the same thing when you mix these two together, because this has a little bit of red in it too, because it's a purple blue. And then I don't know if you care about this stuff, but it's interesting to me. You got some yellow. This is the primary yellow. If you mix that with this one, again, it's kind of same thing. You get a little bit more brownish green. But if you mix this one, this bright yellow, with this green blue, phthalo blue, you get some nice, like, vibrant greens. So it's very different with how it kind of relates together and how they go together. So I'm going to try to make some sort of mountainy something in the distance. Again, things in it far away tend to be lighter and bluer. I have a picture on my computer here that I just want to take a peek at. Okay, there we go. Just want to get a feel for the colors that I wanted for the mountains. All right, so I'm gonna go for, keep that color, but then I want to go a little bit blue with this background. But it needs to be purple down, grayed down, whatever. I'm going to just plop that in, kind of making stuff up here. So we're just going to, I use that medium, so it's keeping it kind of wet and glossy on my paper, which is or my canvas, which is what I want. I feel like it needs to be just a touch lighter. And then we'll add something bigger and closer. In here, a little bit warmer. It's a little too centered. I have to remind myself, not to center it too much. Okay, something like that. Now I want to try to get rid of the brush because it's going to force me to be too precise. And I definitely don't want to be precise. I want to be more painterly. So I'm gonna switch to my handy dandy palette knife, and I want to kind of come in now with some highlighted colors. I need a red. I need something to warm things up more here, just in case. So as you can probably tell if you watched my live video last week, this is very different from what I did last week. This is kind of just how I work. I like to play. I get bored easily with one style. And so I have to play. I have to try things. Hold on, cleaning up mode. Dropped the palette knife. Have to clean up some. I realized about myself that I tend to be a pretty cleanly painter. Like, I honestly don't like paint everywhere. So sorry, I'm not going to just leave this. I can't. Okay, I think we're good. Lost the palette knife though. Okay, hold tight. All right, so I'm going to put in kind of a warmer to green. Something warmer to kind of go in here a little bit to show off mountain. Maybe you've seen this technique with good old Bob Ross. I use it a lot. It's just easy peasy texture for pretty much anything. I am gonna, as I do this, I like to scratch into my paint and create sort of some different texture that can kind of show later, more of an impressionistic type of view. This stuff up here is already dry, so I do have to kind of make sure I'm working quicker. And let's see, I want to go a little bit more on the purple blue side, still white added in because it's still far enough away. You can get some really pretty colors. I want to just plop in some interesting darks in here as well. Again, not going too crazy with detail because it is farther away. So I might even with a brush after this just kind of like gently rub over it or something. I don't know how I want to do that. Let me see if I can soften this. Yeah. I don't want that to be too prominent. Okay, and we're gonna bring in some greens. Oh, changed it too much. Color mixing takes a while because you'll often grab a color thinking it needs that and then realize it you messed it up. I think that's the color I want. Yeah. So we're gonna put this in here. Got a touch of red on the back of the knife. Don't want that. Colors get warmer as they come forward and come closer to us. So I'm going to add more yellow into this. They just get richer, more vibrant. I don't want to overdo it because I'm going to do a few more layers of this, but you can see how that green looks even closer. I want it to kind of skid across the top of that first layer of green and kind of work its way down. I want to go into a darker version of this. I haven't painted like this in acrylic in a while, actually. But I'm happy with how it's working. It feels not too far off from oil, especially with that medium. Okay, so there's a little bit darker kind of shadowed edge of maybe a little hill or something. And then I want to go into even warmer green as it gets closer. Yeah, I tell my students all the time that as artists, you know, we're observers. We have to observe things around us to be inspired and to know what we want to paint or draw, and to just have a sort of direction as an artist. You have to observe to be able to replicate anyway. And so I try to train my students to look at things, you know, open their eyes, be observant of your surroundings. And, you know, a lot of people don't know that colors get bluer and lighter as they get farther away from us. And that's why the mountains look purple, even though there's lots of green and brown on them, right? And the only reason you'd know that is if someone explained it to you and if you went out and actually observed it for yourself. It's a good thing to learn how to do. Okay, and then we're going to get a little closer. We're going to create, I think I want to create a little hill here. As I start painting, I start to see what's happening compositionally a little bit, and I can be like, okay, I think I know how I want this to progress a little bit. This is irritating me because I did kind of place it central, so I might try to lift up this side a little bit with that color if I still have it. And just try to, and actually I want it a little darker because it's that shadow side of the mountain. Still light though, it's far away, so it's a tricky balance. You're going darker with the value, but you're also, yes, this will help too. I want it a little bit rougher of an edge so it can look more painterly. Actually, I really don't want it to go quite that high. So we're gonna kind of scrape a little bit and wipe if we need to. Underneath is dry. We're gonna have aspens over that in a moment. Okay, getting a little bit more irregular shape. Put a little bit of a highlighted side on that rock there. We'll just bring that forward a little bit more. Okay, so that's what we got so far. And I said I wanted to go brighter with the greens. I don't want them to be too green, because if we're having yellow aspens, that doesn't make sense. So I'm going to keep it kind of warm as it comes forward, but maybe brown it just a bit. I might even plop in, I like this color here. Let's put in a little touch of sort of a reddish hue. Here in Colorado, we get kind of these bushes that like have a red, or maybe they're trees. No, they're like bushes. Really thin bushes, like in the mountains, in the grasses, that just have this reddish hue. So I think that would be kind of nice. I might try to scrape a little bit in here, kind of show some different layers. A lot of this, again, is going to be covered up. With aspens or trunks and stuff. But background is just as important as the subject itself. And so you have to spend just as much energy. It has to be still simplified in some way, but it has to complement what you're putting as the subject. Let's see. Hopefully you guys can see this okay. It's angled a little bit. Need more yellow. We're going to go with a warmer yellow to get kind of a green, but not too green. Put a touch of red. Red and green are complements, and so when you mix them, they make neutrals, make browns and stuff. Of course, you can add just a little bit of one or the other, and it can just enrich in your color, make your color richer. Still want to put a little white, because even though it's not really far away, it's still far enough away for the atmosphere to still change the color a little bit. So we're going to go for this, something like this. It's looking a little too springy, too spring green, but let's try this color and see if I like this. Okay, not too bad. So I'm just going to put one more layer in here before I do more of a maybe rocky layer, something that the aspens can actually attach to. So I'm going to come in here and try to place that guy right along there. Feels good to paint with a palette knife. Haven't done it in a while. Okay, there we go. And you can see I got some nice thick paint, thick ledges happening right there. Love that right there. I want to try to keep that as much as I can. Of course, I need to do this layer, but we will kind of hopefully not mess it up as we go along. Again, I got paint on my pants. Maybe I take it back. I'm not a cleanly artist. No, I'm definitely cleaner than some. Like some just like end up with it all over their clothes and their hands and their face. And I'm like, I try to keep it like here. So anyway, you might not believe me, but I try. I really try. Okay, so I want to go for a brownish. I want to go deeper because this is when it's closer. It's probably in the shade. Oops. And I want to make sure that, I can make sure that this stuff looks really far away. Actually, before I do that, I want to make the sky more interesting. So I'm going to come in and put a little bit of some maybe kind of grayed. Well, you might not be able to tell that it's grayed once I put it down in here. Put a little bit of cloud cover. Over here, I might want it to kind of blend over my mountains in the distance just a little bit. I want to get more of an appearance of like a fall sky, beginnings of fall. And the way to do that is to, make your clouds a little darker. The sky can be quite blue actually in the fall here, so that's not a problem. Again, it's art. You can make whatever work, right? I just want these to be a little wispier. I don't want them to have the texture of the mountains because they shouldn't, they're farther away, a little bit softer. Okay. Now I can come down. I might decide to add more, but I have to get the background done before I do Aspen, so I'll have some time to think about that. So purple, red, and green. When you start to make brown, you kind of mix everything on your palette. So I'm taking the yellows and the reds that were on this corner and the greens that I made and just going to add like tons of purple to it, because brown is basically achieved with most of your, like all three of your primaries together. And I like actually when my browns are a little bit more on the purple side. And so I think I might stick with that. And because we're working with Aspen in the fall, Aspen are very bright yellow in the fall. And so having purples in the picture, like the mountains and stuff, is going to complement it really nicely. So I think I'm going to stick with this. I can always add more reds or oranges to it or something. Okay, so I'm going to come in now and try not to ruin my nice green here, but I do need to overlap it a little bit to get sort of a, another shelf of like rocks, which can be a little bit more intricate. I do want these to come down to the bottom of the page. To hold this to get it's a lot of paint. I love it. I honestly probably don't need to blow dry it as much as I thought I would. So it's like painting in oil, until I run into an issue where it's blending too much with what's underneath it, then that's when I can be like, okay, let's speed it up. So it's kind of like putting butter on toast when you paint with a palette knife. Okay, do I like that? Do I like how that's aligned? I think so. I might even go just a touch. Oh, need more yellow. I don't know if I want to go a little higher over here so I can have Aspen. I mean, they're going to be big and they'll go off the page, but I feel like it needs a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more elevation there on the side. There we go. Just a little something. Okay, so the whole canvas now has paint on it. That's a good step to finish. And I want to basically to add the highlight color of the rocks. In order to do that, I need to get out my white again, and I want it to be warm enough. I want it to be more yellows maybe in this rock highlight. So let's see. White is over here. Okay, a little bit of yellow. So we've got our white with our yellow with our blending medium right here. Oh, you know what I should do before I go too crazy is, and I'll do this more as I put the light down, but I want to get a little bit of painterly texture down in here. Remember, we're going for painterly, not super realistic. And then I'm gonna add in some of that purple. Needs a little bit of red. To warm it up a little bit. Gets too green, add a complement like a red or something warmer to it. Ooh, that's not bad. It's just a little on the gray side. So I'm going to warm it up a little bit more with some yellow. Because, you know, it's closer to us. I don't want it to be too... Actually might put a little bit of this down right now, and then I'm going to make a lighter version of it by just adding some white. So let me grab some of this and try not to push my canvas down, but we're going to put just a little hints of it. Actually, it might be bright enough. I don't want to go, you don't want to go too white. But I just love that you can get some random, very natural looking texture by just gently brushing the palette knife over the already wet paint underneath. You can get some really interesting textures. And as I'm doing this, I'm squinting the whole time because I want to kind of visualize, okay, from a distance, does that read as rocks? It's a little bit more clumpy, like in one big clump than I was thinking. So I'm going to kind of separate and gently like rub off some of the light and see if I can get sort of some rocky texture in there. That's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Put a little outline of a rock or something right there. Okay. Let's see. I want to put some sort of black thing there. I need to think about where my trees are going to go. And I have to balance negative space and the trees. And I don't want things centered. I don't want like an opening perfectly in the center either. I want to kind of, use my rule of thirds to find a composition. I'm going to look at this picture again on my computer, get a hint or an idea of kind of what I was thinking. I want a tree here. So what I'm going to do is, because it's still wet most of the way, I'm going to just put a line like that to represent one tree. And that will go all the way up probably. And then I want to do another one that maybe is kind of bendy, goes up. And then we'll do another one kind of over here. And it goes up. I like this in here. Like I said, I want to keep, you know, that stuff showing. I could put one here. Maybe it'll be a little bit thicker. It's not in the middle. It also doesn't place this in the middle. It pushes it over this way, which is awesome. So that'll be a nice thicker one there. We'll maybe do some, I'm going to do some little guys down below here that are kind of like over the hill, you know, like they're still attached to this rock, but on the other side, kind of an appearance. Maybe I'll do that over here too, a little bit of that, little tops of trees. But I think I need another big one, maybe right here. And I want to think, you want to think a little bit about numbers. Odd numbers are more interesting. And so I kind of have like 1, 2, I guess I've got this guy over here. I'm kind of liking that the way it is, I think. These can be a little bit lower. That's kind of where they're going to sit. Okay. I'm trying to decide now if I want to do, I probably want to do a little bit of trunks first before I do yellow. Aspen trunks tend to be kind of white, creamy kind of color, but they're also going to be in the shade because they're shading themselves, each other. There's probably other trees, you know, behind us, above us in the view. And so I want to make sure that those trunks are actually cooler because shadows in the natural light tend to be a little bit cooler. So I want to put that in there. They might even look a little purple, but then we'll put highlights on them. That's going to be the fun part. Just bring it to life. But I think I want to just start with like a color like this, honestly, for the trunks. Maybe a little bit more brown. So it'll look kind of purple. And then I am going to try to paint these in with a palette knife. You just have to use more of the side of the palette knife. So let's start with this big guy here. And we're going to just, it's going to be tricky because my paint is fairly wet, especially at the bottom. But if you just use the side and you work your way up, you don't want to go too straight. I want to kind of, you know, bend it a little bit. So there's one guy. And then we'll do this one. It's a little bit thinner because it's not going to start quite as low. This one coming up. So much fun. Yes. Yeah. And, you know, aspens are fairly thin. I'll see if I need to make them thicker depending on how close I want them to be to me as the viewer. Here's that little bendy guy. They got to have a little character, right? Can't just do straight trees because not all trees are straight. And then we'll do this farther. I'm losing my paint. Already running out. Ah! That's one of the curses of painting is that you have to squeeze paint out again and you have to mix your colors again. It's not my favorite part, I will say. Okay, we're gonna have that guy disappear. Sorry for holding it on its side, but I kind of have to do that to get the thinness that I want. Okay, there's that. Then, yeah, for a picture like this, I mean, you can use a square canvas, but it's a little bit less ideal than if you use something that's longer so you can fit more, you know, because trees are up and down vertical. And so if you have a little bit more, you can kind of show off the tree more, but we're making it work, I think. All right, I need to make more of that color. So purple, some blending medium, some white, some brown. Way too blue, or too purple, I mean. Oh, now it's too purple still, but light. Okay. Oh, needs more blue. Okay. I think that's better. All right, and we're gonna try this guy again, give him a little bit more thickness. Kind of like so. And then I want to do these little guys farther away. Now, actually, I want to hint at more down there far away so I can do other little lines that'll just be the trunk just the way they are. And then I do want to put a little purple for those ones that are closer to us. I might go actually a little thicker with this one. Sorry. Forget that people are watching me. There we go. Just a little thicker for that one. And I'm going to do these other little ones back here. Sometimes you just need to touch it, the side of the palette knife, and call it good. I could just kind of touch it like this and just get a bunch of aspen in the distance. And then I'll do the same here. Oops, don't have enough paint on my palette knife. It can be a little tricky because, you know, paint's wet, and so you have to kind of I do want a little bit of a taller one here, I think. Still kind of coming from behind the rocks, but I think I want something that goes a little taller. Oops, it's a little thicker than I wanted. It's okay, well, we're gonna hide it with yellow. Okay, there's that. Okay, let's stop there. I don't want to overdo it, but I'm liking the composition so far. Now it's the fun part. We get to do yellow. I think I want to do yellow before I do the highlights on the trunks, because you don't really know like where the light's going to kind of come through from, and I'd rather have a better understanding when I've done the yellow. Actually, before I do that, sorry, I often think of things. It's nice to put in maybe a few branches, even just pulling from just something to give it a little bit more like, oh yeah, there's more than just the trunk. There's other parts to these trees. Doesn't need a lot. You just need a little bit. Because again, painterly, not realistic. Okay, so now I need another paper towel. It definitely is feeling like oil, which is very nice, because that's what I wanted. Is a feeling of oil. Oil paint. Okay. I might blow dry this just a touch. Well, No, I'm not gonna. I think it's gonna be fine. So I want to make the classic aspen color. I wanted to, the picture I have on my computer is actually not aspen in the fall. It's aspen in the spring or summer or spring or something. So they're green. And so that doesn't really help me. So I want to look up pictures of some aspen, like coloring a little bit here. They can be very orange yellow up in here like this. But I want to go, because I want the last layer to be the really, really, really light, bright yellow. And the stuff underneath needs to be darker. And it looks like it's mostly like an orange. I might go for burnt orange, browns, a little orange with some yellow or some purple in it. So I have purple and red here. I'm going to just take a little bit of both, mix it with my, ooh, too much red. Red is powerful. You have to be careful. Ooh. I'm going to add a little bit of purple. And the reason for that, just to really kind of dull it down. Okay, that's still going to be a little, I'm going to add a touch of white. And I want to add quite a bit of yellow because I want it to still be aspeny. But it needs to be the shadow aspen. The shadow color. Why is that looking wrong to me? Let's see. No, I mean, that's right. I won't put it like everywhere. I just want to put it on spots that actually I might warm it up or cool it down just a little bit. Ooh. Okay, I'm not going to put it everywhere. I don't really, I don't need a lot of it. So I'm just going to put some of it down where there's going to be more shadow. So I'm going to plop it in. Oop. It always glides over stuff that's a little bit taller in texture. So I'm going to stick a little bit there and a little bit kind of underneath here. It's going to create the bulk of the aspens, but I want to just get a shadow color down in there a little bit. These ones back here I probably won't do a lot, but I want to focus on the ones that are closer. So I'm going to put, but look how you can instantly get leaves. Easy peasy. That's why I love the palette knife. It's just so quick. Okay. Very burnt orangey look. Definitely not what you want for an aspen, but it's still that kind of under layer. And so we don't want to forget that. Okay, I gotta stop there. I want to now make a lighter version of this. That's more the color of aspen, but still kind of a medium tone. So I'm going for something maybe like this. I'm going to look at my picture again because I don't want to lose track of kind of what the colors are. Oh yeah, I want more orange. I don't think I have. Oh. Yeah. I think I'm going to go for this. I'm saving, as you can probably tell, I'm saving this yellow for last because that with a little bit of white can just make those sparkle. The leaves that the light is hitting just sparkle enough to add just the beauty to those leaves. So I'm adding in I'm going to see what it looks like on the canvas because it's very different on my palette. But I want to put it in here. Okay, that's okay. It's not as bright as I was thinking, but it helps. Next layer, right? That's what we want. You can go as refined with your layers as you want to, or as simple. My next layers definitely need to be, you can kind of see actually, yeah, see how up close these look a little greenish because you can see the blue sky through them. We definitely don't want that, but for now it's going to be okay. Put in a little bit of that color back here. For those little, oh, actually, I don't want to neglect these ones either. A little bit back there. Okay, so now I need to make sure my palette knife is pretty clean because the reason it's looking more brown is because I've had purple and blue and stuff in those orangey colors. And so I want to change it up. I'm going to switch palettes here so I can not get any of those colors in there. And I'm going to maybe just try to use this and see what that looks like as the next layer. And then we'll slowly add in the brighter yellow. But let's just see what this looks like. Actually, before I do that, though, I want to add a little bit of white, and that's so that it can cover up whatever colors are behind it. So it's going to brighten it up a little bit more, but that's kind of what we want. I might add a touch of red, or actually I might try this orange. I have this orange here. It's just a little pinky, but it might be okay. I'm going to put it to the side and give it a try. It might just give it enough of the orangey look that I want. Ooh, yeah. Yay! That's what I want. Okay. So that's the color for the aspen there. Might even put more. That's what I want, kind of an orange, a nice subtle orange. Okay. And I'm going to place this in most of the places. So looking at maybe where the light can be hitting these aspen here. So I might start at the tops and kind of work my way down just so I can start to bring the tops of these aspen to life. I'm going to work with this guy in the back here a little bit more. These ones are big, so they're going to go kind of off the canvas a little bit. Yes, then you see how it lays over those darker colors really nicely. That's what I wanted. Was just for it to be able to really, and I'm kind of squinting the whole time I'm doing this because it helps you to see the whole thing at once and not get caught up in, like exactly where you're at. It's kind of like think of the whole thing, big picture, big picture. I want to leave dark showing. I don't want to cover everything because that would be dumb. I want to go back a little bit with this burnt one a little bit and add just a touch of that as it's mixed in with the color I have on my palette knife, because it's just going to really, these little guys back in here. Got maybe too much of the light right there. I want to kind of disperse that, put a little bit of the medium yellow. I don't want to get rid of my blue background too much either, so it's a balance, going back and forth, squinting the whole time. Okay, I'm gonna still need that same color to do this other side. That we're gonna come in here again, start at the top and work our way down. I want to make sure I preserve the background kind of coming through. So I'm going to make sure that's the case. Ooh, yeah, pretty. Ooh, loving it, loving it. Okay, now I want to put in the really light stuff, which is not going to be a ton of it, because it's just going to enhance areas that I want to come forward more. So we're going to do that. A little bit of the yellow, the primary yellow, with touch of white. Yeah, maybe a little bit of that other yellow just to keep it still warm. You don't want to go too bright with it. So we're talking that right there. Yeah, that's what we want. Okay, so I don't want like too much paint because I want these to really glide gently across the top and create little sparkles. So I'm going to hit the areas that are the brightest and just kiss the top like that. And same within here. We're just going to kiss that little spot there. And up in here. A little bit here. Okay. I think I'm going to stop there. You have to kind of know when to stop so you don't overdo it. Again, squinting's my favorite thing to do. I am going to, for these farther away ones down in here, try to clump them a little more so they look like they're actually, aspen farther away. Otherwise, they blend in with what's happening here. And I'm not using the really bright yellow. I'm using that kind of next layer. And even the next layer after that, the sort of brownishy middle layer, just to kind of give those a little bit more thickness together. They look like they're smaller trees farther away. And then I kind of want to get a little bit of like individual little guys, just a little bit more up in here. Just use the tip of it and put in some little pieces that can float. Okay. All right. Gotta stop. Now I can do, here is it from the front. I can do the highlights now on the trunks themselves, and I'm going to hint at them again inside between the leaves a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my other palette, and I want to do something a little bit warmer. So we have this sort of brownish color still. a little bit of purple. But I kind of just want to go in with a little bit of yellow, a little bit of white. Mostly white, probably. But not too, you don't want it too bright. So I'm going to try this color and see what that looks like. And I'm just putting it wherever I think, like, you know, the light's going to skim past the leaves and just touch the bark where it needs to touch the bark. Here. I might even go a little bit more white actually, because it's that color is blending too much with the rocks in the distance. So it's a little bright right in there, but we'll try it. Got it a little bit in there. Okay. And kind of, you know, sun goes through the leaves a little bit and hits the trunk in spots where you least expect it. Okay, look at that. Now, you know, aspen have some little dark eyes and knots and things in the tree, and so we're gonna just mix in a little bit of a darker, not black, because from a distance it doesn't look black. So, or it isn't black. I'm just gonna put in some little darks. You just gotta hint at stuff when you're doing more abstracted things. I might come in now and put, put a little bit of, you know, highlight maybe some of the rocks down in here. Not too crazy though. I don't want that to be too bright. It's a little brighter than I wanted. And I'm probably not going to put yellow down because it looks like they're fuller. You know, the color hasn't fallen. The leaves haven't fallen from the tree really yet. And if they did, they're probably being blown away. So I'm just not going to put much of anything down. There you can see that nice little highlighted side of that tree. And this tree. It makes sense to me if, let's see, here had a shadow actually instead of that light coming through there. So, or at least a shadow for the trunk of this tree. So I'm going to see if I can take any of this off of here. Oh, a little bit. If it was oil, I would definitely be able to take stuff off, but we're going to go with that. And we're going to put in just a little bit more dark. Yeah, see how that just brings your eye in there. It makes more sense. Which is, again, why it was helpful to put the leaves in before you do too much else, because you don't really know. Actually, I'm liking this sort of brown purple that I made to put in these different areas as kind of a deeper, a little hint of some warmth. Okay. I'm trying to decide if I want to put any more of the bright yellow while I have it, and while pretty much everything is done in this picture. I want to make sure I'm going to put a little bit in here, that I have enough of that, you know? They're aspen after all. They need to be bright and vibrant. I need to have enough, but not, not too much. Just to pop those forward a little bit. This is like right on a nice bright orange background. Because it's all wet still, I can kind of scrape out little holes and things if I need to keep things fresh and not all clumps together. It adds a little bit of detail when I do that. Implied detail, nothing crazy realistic or anything like that. Okay, I'm like ready to call this done. I had a lot of fun with this one. I have not painted with palette knife in a while. Probably almost a year. I don't know. I've been into the abstract. Oh, I don't want that. Into the more abstracted flower stuff, and I have not used a palette knife. So this is kind of fun. The reason I chose aspen today is because tomorrow I'm doing a live painting for an event, and I chose a, decent sized canvas. I was thinking I'd do this type of thing. I wanted to try it to see if it was something I could do in a shorter amount of time. And I think if it's just a little bit bigger, it can be done fairly quickly. But I had fun with it, and I think I know for sure that that's what I want to do. I had a few different ideas for possible things. But anyway, so thank you for watching. Here is the final painting from a distance. Closer up. Even closer up, you can see the texture. All that. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you guys have a great rest of your Friday and have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye.